Kia ora koutou. Welcome to Encounter Roleplay, where we are playing today live on Twitch, episode 2 of Darkness and Davokar, a game of Symbaroum by our friends over in Sweden, Fria Lagan. We are here live every day, every Saturday at 11 PM East, which you'll know if you're watching, but those of you watching on YouTube, that's where you come and find us if you want to come and get involved and do some donations and interact with us all here. Let's go around the cast and crew. Last week, I think I went clockwise. This week we'll go anti-clockwise. Ryan, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, you know, ready to play some games, kick some ass.
Ready to go ahead and kill Sean, I heard, while you were in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Picking on him.
Look, I don't want to, but the audience seems to want to do it. So, yeah, I'm nothing if not a consummate professional performer. Yeah, so you looking forward to today's game? Who are you playing today for those those people at home who haven't been keeping up?
So for the new folks, I'm playing Pentu Ambrosia. He's Ambrian Hedge Knight and Monster Hunter. I'm looking forward to it. I've only been hit once, and it wasn't my fault. So I'm going to try to keep that up.
All right. Okay, cool. Charlotte, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, you know, same as what I just said to Ryan.
Yeah.
Everyone is asking how he's doing.
I'm going to ask you as well.
I love it.
Yeah, that's now a thing now. It has to be done now.
As a Canadian, I have to
give a different answer.
So what are your thoughts going into today's session, Charlotte?
I am glad that I made it on time with a few minutes to spare to get everything ready. That was a bit of a rush to try and make it here on time. Going into today's game should be pretty interesting. Trying to see what's going on with our giant Nata meerkat, and checking out the people who are lying around us, just relaxing and not doing too much. Yeah, so it should be interesting. Yeah, just having a few Z's. They're just sleeping. That's all. They're just sleeping.
Just napping.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those of you who weren't here last week, I play Shelfin. I am a barbarian ranger type tracker deal. Yes, that's about it.
All right.
I should know more as time goes on.
Exactly. As all good characters should, I say. Too much backstory and you're just telling me the game you'd rather be playing. Let's fast forward over to Luke. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm doing good. I heard you're doing good, so that means I'm doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. So it's always fun. It was an exciting night for me now. Looking forward to it, finishing off this mission with the meerkats and hopefully not dying.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Who are you playing for our friends at home?
Right. I'm playing Verm. He's a barbarian as well. He's a witch and a ritualist. It's mostly his thing.
And an all-round weird guy. A bit of an oddball, that one.
That's an opinion.
Common, widely held opinion, yeah.
Last but not least, Sean. How are we doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Liam?
Oh, yeah, fucking great.
It's been really hot recently, so I've been sweating like a pig today and yesterday.
Yeah.
And closing the blinds and the windows closed and everything. I'm gonna get progressively more sweaty as this goes on. Hopefully, not because I'm in a lot of trouble. So
hopefully,
hopefully, unlike last time. So I play Lothar, a Thurge of Prios, which is the sun god, but he's rather conflicted. And he doesn't like humanity that much because he used to be part of it, but he's a changeling, so he sort of got thrown out, and he's not been having a good time. And as is custom, I rolled 4 20s last session, so I'm looking forward to continuing to suck.
For those of you at home, in Symbaroum, you want to roll low. So a 20 is the equivalent of rolling a 1 in D&D. It's bad news. You don't want to get it. And also for those of you at home wondering what he's talking about with the whole changeling, in Symbaroum, elves, much like mythology, steal babies. And they replace them with changelings who no one knows they're a changeling until they hit adolescence, and then suddenly they're like, "Why has this thing got pointy ears and doesn't look like my kid?" So that's basically where Sean's coming from. Right, and I am Liam or Boganova, and I am the games master for today. I'll be running you through this session and giving the audience what they want, which apparently is death and mayhem. But before I do, we need to throw some thanks and shout outs to the people who make this possible. We have Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All the dice rolls that you'll be seeing tonight, if we get it set up, we'll be using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try out for free at fantasygrounds.com. Also, if you're one of these people who likes to play with miniatures, it's the theatre of the mind, Wayland Games, waylandgames.co.uk. Get yourself a range of Dungeons & Dragons, Warhammer, 40k, and all the other good minis you could want for 20% off. And then last but not least, Tabletop Loot, which they provide fantastic dice, which we give away every time we hit stream goals. One big stream goal is retweeting the live tweet, which I saw flashing up through chat earlier. We hit 20 retweets on that. We give away a set of dice. I know we gave away a set of dice last week. I'd love to do it again this week, because who doesn't want free dice? Other than that, the only thing that you need to worry about today is you can interact with the game. You've got the 20 retweets that we mentioned earlier, but you can also donate to buy players critical successes, critical failures, wild magic surges, table of pets, the whole lot, whatever you want. Anyway, enough of me blabbering on. Would I please have a volunteer to let everybody know what we were up to last week and where we finished off for the session? Give us a rundown. You look like you want to do it, Luke. Mind? Away you go. Oh, there you go, yeah. Ryan taking a bullet for the team.
Away. Save me, yeah. Thank you.
All right. So we were hunting the meerkats. It's Mare. These sort of nightmarish, nocturnal, giant cats of prey. We had initially set up a trap, and we killed, I think, 2 or 3 while taking minimal wounds ourselves, and then tracked them through the woods after camping the night. But something isn't exactly how it seems. One of our, along with this herd or pack that we're following, there's this other thing that Pencho doesn't know what it is. It's not a meerkat. It's bigger, and there's something unusual about the way it is. And Verm experienced it somewhat. He saw the other creature's mind sort of in one of the minds of the cats that he dominated. So it's sort of dominating this pack through some psychic bonds. We think. We're not sure, but that's my working theory right now. We followed them the following morning and killed another bunch, and now we're on kind of a hill in the aftermath of a battle. There was some, I don't remember exactly, you have to remind me what they were. It was some troop that was ambushed in the night. They were playing music and were slaughtered, and we ignored it because we were scared and it was dark. And that's pretty much where we are now. The weather is terrible. It's muddy and rainy.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. The only sort of evidence you found to who these people were is there was a number like bodies, mostly human. There was a goblin amongst them, a mule, and an ox. And you found one person who was wearing a black cloak, which is what the witch hunters wear. Other than that, you didn't find anything. You don't know exactly who these people are. Yeah. That's what you managed to track down, and you finished having just overcome a bunch of these meerkats. So I believe there's 3 of them dead and dying at your feet, ready to harvest the poison glands out of. And in front of you, in the rain pouring down, lightning off in the distance, there is a scene of carnage from their previous meal. The chewed upon remains of this group that seems to have been set upon in the night. What is everyone doing?
Before Pencho goes to work, he would want to do a quick, what do you call it? Like a status check on everyone, just to see like what everyone's doing in terms of wounds. I believe at this point we've all been hit at least once. So just to see how everyone's doing, who needs to be treated.
Yeah, Lothar's taken moderate beating. He's looking a bit bloodied. One of the meerkats got him. So how many meerkats have we harvested already? Like how much?
If you harvest
that's
these ones
true.
on the ground,
Will
if
that
you get
bring
these
us up
ones on
to
the ground,
5?
it's 7 in total. Yeah.
Dun,
Yeah, so you're pretty
dun.
close. You need 10. And yeah, with the ones that are dead on the ground, they'll take a while to harvest, but once you do, you'll have 7.
And
So
there
pretty
hasn't
close.
been any sign of any further activity in the jungle, the forest. There's no movement because remember last time the bird life was really there was a distinct thing with the audio level of the surrounds.
Everything went really quiet. No, actually, at the moment, if anything, above the usual forest noise, there's the added noise of the cawing of carrion birds flying up above this carnage, where they were feasting when you arrived and had a go at the cats who were just trying to have lunch, and you all attacked them. Wait
Well,
till
we
Peter
were-
hears
we
about
were-
you.
We were about to be dinner the other night, so I think it's fine that we stopped them having lunch. Greedy bastards.
But no, from the last thing you saw, the last sign that something was going on is you saw 2 of these cats scarper off into the forest. One seriously injured. One was really badly injured. It ran off. And that's where we kind of left it.
Yeah, well, Vern would talk and he'd bark toward Pentio. I'm fine. And he just takes his dagger and he goes and he's working at skinning the meerkats and also keeping an eye out for the one that he took the flesh from earlier to see if that one is among the dead.
Okay. Fuck it. Roll me. Let's roll me a dice. Roll me a d4, just to see.
2.
No, man, you're good. None of the bodies here are missing any chunks. You are yet to find the one which was previously imprisoned.
We did find the one that was missing a fang, though, didn't we?
Yeah, you killed the one that had previously killed the woman you found back on the road. So that one's done. You done that one in. You just haven't done in the one that you captured and then let go because you were afraid of the big bad one out in the forest.
And the overwhelming numbers. Let's not forget that part.
Nah, all I'm hearing, mate, is you're afraid of the dark. No.
I'm afraid of arithmetic.
We've got Verm's here doing his thing. Lothar's already reported that he's slightly hurt. Other than that, what is Lothar up to?
Lothar's going to go up to Schoffen and say, well, this is a good time as any to see to this wound. And I sort of tap my shoulder and I'm like pointing at her like, come on, you're the medicus here. We've got a moment.
I see the wound.
Cold.
I see the wound. There it is, right there.
I think
Lothar's going to frown at you then and he's going to say, well, if you're going to be like that, then why don't you go follow the trail, eh?
Or, you could just ask nicely and we can see what we can do. A little please won't hurt you.
This is from the last time. Why won't you get over that, huh?
I hold
I
a grudge.
heal you once, I don't get thanks for that, but then you come here and you say, thank me? Ugh. Fine, please. Please, Schoffen.
Yeah, okay, go have a seat. I'll be there in a second. Just let me grab my stuff. I'm not unreasonable.
Yeah, Lothar goes and has to sit down.
Yeah, once he sits down, I'll go over and I'll try and get him healed up. So...
Okay. That's a cunning test just to see if you succeed. Are you using one of your Are you using the herbal cures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I roll an 11.
D6.
Okay. Oh. Right. And that's a 4.
Nice, that's
Yeah,
exactly
4
how
wounds.
much I needed. Thank you very much.
You go, yeah, so you patch him up and you put your poultice in there and wrap him up, and after a while he starts feeling pretty good. While all this is going on, what is Pentio up to? Oh, we've lost Ryan. He's on his way back. Okay. Yeah. So when you say you're skinning the meerkats, Luke, are you just going for the fangs? Or are you taking the whole pelt? Or what's it look like when Verm's in the process of harvesting one of these things?
I usually turns them onto their backs, and he'll start beneath the neck and try to harvest the whole pelt if he's able. He doesn't believe in being wasteful, so anything that he is able to salvage, he will. Might even keep some of the meat for eating. Might remove some of the bone to, sharpen it to a dagger for his rituals, or for, accessorizing, throw it on a necklace, different stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. There'll definitely be witches out there which would have eaten meerkat meat in the time. There's been times where times are hard and it meat's meat. As long as you avoid the poison, you're all good. So while that's going on, what is Pentio up to?
Is Verm also harvesting the poison? Or is he leaving that to Pentio?
You're historically more capable. Pentio is more capable, right? This is something he's done before that Verm would be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he'd allow Pentio to do that.
Then Pentio would start harvesting the poison glands, I guess.
Okay. Right, so that's going to take a while to harvest all these animals. You're looking at a couple hours. So during that time, is the rest of the party? Is there anything in particular that you guys are doing? Like, what's the scene playing out like? So far, you're in the forest on the edge of this clearing where everyone else sort of died horribly. So what is it that you guys are up to? The rest of you, specifically looking at Siofin and Lothar in this case.
First question would be, is this a new scene?
Yes.
I mean, okay, right. Just so then Lothar is going to be patrolling the perimeter and just keeping an eye on if anything's happening out in the jungle. Just making sure we don't get ambushed, because these things seem to really, really like ambushing people. So he wants to avoid that.
Okay.
He's paying attention to the wildlife, the bird life, even though this isn't really his expertise at Choffin's. But he's doing his best.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Siofin, what are you up to?
While Lothar's doing that, I try and go from body to body. I want to find some clue as to who these people were, where they came from, where they were expecting on going. I would also try to collect any kind of what I would see as keepsakes, just to be able to bring back to the families if we can find out where they came from. I kind of give the family closure that their loved ones have left and they're never coming back, but here's the sword that I took off that one corpse in the water last time, and here's a little necklace that has an engraving of initials and a bird or something. Give it back to the families.
Okay, so that's fine. So as you start moving around amongst the corpses, the site is quite visceral and nasty in nature. As you can imagine, there's all sorts of carnage as these people have been, and their pack animals have been just feasted on, not just by the cats but also by carrion birds and the like, which have come down, and it's pretty gruesome work. Amongst them you find there's several humans, mostly adults, generally adults of fighting age, both genders. Several of them are wearing the distinctive black cloaks that we mentioned earlier, which you know to mean witch hunters. There's also the body of a mule and an ox, both appear to have been pack animals. And then lastly, there is a goblin, which is particularly nastily torn apart, lying slight distance away from the rest. What you can sort of tell is that these people retreated to this position and sort of set up in a circle on the hill and like an all-round defense, to trying to stop the cats getting around on them. You'd know from your own experience the night before that these cats like to encircle and pounce. And these people seemed intent on doing what they could to avoid that. As you start searching through everything, mostly what you find is pretty stock standard stuff. They weren't particularly well equipped or anything like that. They weren't wearing anything out of the ordinary. Light equipment, swords, various hand weapons. They all seem to have in common, with the exception of the goblin, is they all appear to be wearing holy symbols of Prios. And as you sort of rummage through, you find about 8 thaler worth of coin, which is a fair bit. That's obviously not just in gold coins, but that's spread out amongst all the bodies and different denominations. One of them in particular appears to have a sling bag. And as you rummage through it, you find this particular guy looks a bit older than the rest, a bit scarred up. He looks like one of the older, more experienced members of the team, perhaps. He certainly has a face that looks like it's seen battle on numerous occasions. And in his shoulder bag, his sling bag, he has a leather-bound, what looks to be a journal, sort of strapped up and held closed. And next to that, it's just basically the journal. In his backpack, he also, in that same thing, he has what looks like a brooch. He wasn't wearing it. It was in the sling bag, and then set inside it is a polished precious stone, like a blue sapphire sort of thing, which is mounted in sort of tarnished silver, which he was keeping in there. And there appears to be some loose papers inside his journal. But otherwise, you don't really find... there's also food and things, the sort of stuff you'd expect to find on people out in the wilderness. It's not like these cats were looting them, right? They were eating them. So what you can expect to find on this sort of expedition, you can find scattered around. A lot of the food has already been tucked into. Rats is actually in the process of raiding one of the saddlebags on the ox. So yeah, they've been here a day, and the Davokar is doing its best to make the most of this meal ticket. But that is what you find.
Okay, well, obviously, I take it all. All mine.
Take it all? Okay.
All mine. I'm going to call Lothar over and see if he can identify the brooch, if it has any kind of meaning. Like you're saying that there's amulets of Prios on almost all the victims, so he might have some insight into what it might be, if anything. And I would give him the book to flip through as well.
Cool. Could you also... could you make me, this is for you, Charlotte, could you please make a cunning test?
The 11s and my cunning.
So that is a pass?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. One thing you notice as you're going through these bodies is that 2 of them, despite the obvious physical trauma that comes from having been eaten, 2 of them appear to be completely drained of blood, which strikes you as odd, very odd. They have very obvious sort of puncture wounds in their neck, and one of them actually has them in the thigh, big puncture wounds, like imagine like hand width apart. And yeah, drained completely. Other than that, everything about these people, the cause of death is quite obvious. So you were handing over, what was it you were handing over to? Was it Lothar?
Yeah, the book and the brooch with the blue stone in it.
Okay. So yeah, she hands you this book, pretty basic looking, leather sort of cover on it, and a clasp, like a no fancy clasp, we're just talking like a buckle like you'd have on a belt holding it shut, and inside it is some loose papers as well as the actual book itself. And then the brooch, which seems to be fairly fine quality, is old, tarnished. It's got that patina that silver gets over time, and it's got some dings and dents, dents and things like that. It clearly hasn't been well looked after. On the, there's no particularly identifiable things about it, but yeah.
So it doesn't have, unlike their symbols, it doesn't have anything that would relate to the Church of Prios on the brooch itself.
No.
It just looks like a... Okay.
Yeah, as you look at the back, though, you do see an engraving, which is written in Ambrian, and it says, "To my beloved," on it.
No, okay. Poor guy. He was one day from retirement, because he was the old guy, right, that had this on him. He was one day from retiring from the witch hunters with a full pension, and he was just making his way back through the Davokar, and then he hears this sound of a cat, and he's like, "Oh, I could take a cat back with me." And bad things happen. All right. So seeing that this, Lothar doesn't care about that. They're just church people. They can die for all he cares. So what's it written in the journal? There were loose pages and there were standard entries, right?
Yeah, a couple of loose pages are sort of tucked into the back of the cover, like if you had some paper you wanted to keep safe, you tuck it in and then you have the journal.
Does it look like the loose pages were from the journal, or like they've come from somewhere else and they've been... Okay, cool.
They've come from somewhere else, yeah.
Right.
It's a journal. Most of it is pretty standard stuff. It's all the writing of the one person whose name I didn't bother to come up with. So let's go with Aurelio. So Aurelio is a Twilight Friar. And he is a Twilight Friar of note. You've actually heard of this guy. He is not a super famous dude or anything, but he's got a reputation. He's known as a guy you can rely upon to get the job done, and he sort of always gets his man. He's that kind of guy. And in his book, it's typical writings from tales of going out and hunting men down and pondering the significance of Prios and how he's overwatching his holy work and all that typical stuff. This is a man who clearly believed very much in what he was doing. You sort of skip towards the more recent entries and you find that they were on an expedition hunting a cult leader, someone by the name of Eric Pelderman, who was thought to have come through this area. You've not heard of Pelderman, but the way he's written about in the journal implies that he is of some sort of significance to the church. The church clearly thinks he is dangerous and guilty. Now, from your time in the church, that could be sorcery. The guy could be fucking bad news, or it could be.
Or he could have just said, "You guys need to be more tolerant," and then he was like, "You're a heretic."
Yeah. So you sort of you read this and you take it, you see it for what it is. It could be it could be anything, but he was thought to have passed through this area, fleeing persecution. He was said to be a sorcerer of significant means and great evil. As you flick through the pages, you find a week ago, the only thing that stands out from the usual sort of dribble in the book is a week ago they discovered a sealed bottle floating on near the shore of the river. And he writes about how he will donate the brooch to the church, and he shall seek out the person mentioned in the letter.
So the brooch is from the bottle, and there was a letter in the bottle. And the letter is in the journal, one of the loose pages.
Yeah, you're going to look at the loose pages?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's two loose pages. The first one, a smaller of the two, reads thusly: "To whom it may concern, the jewel in this flask is yours. All I ask in return is that you deliver the letter to Ilderid by the square and caster, my husband." That's all it says. And then the other one, which I am now dropping into our Discord channel, I'll read out, but you guys have that as a handout. "Loved ones, dear family, I will never return. I set off to find happiness, and I found it in the most peculiar place, in the strangest of circumstance. The journey through the woods cost us many lives, so many that only 4 of us finally reached Whitewater and continued towards the Twilight Field. If this field really exists, and if it is full of twilight thistles, I will never know. Because 2 days upstream, we walked straight into my owner's ambush. We heard nothing, saw nothing, and did not get the slightest feeling of unease until the arrows were lodged in our legs, stopping us from running away. Slender unhumans appeared from out of the greenery, disarmed us, tied us up in a row. My colleagues were eaten within a couple of weeks, but you know me. My stubborn inquisitiveness must have amused them or made them curious because I still live, as their obedient slave, servant, and medicus. I am no longer afraid. All that remains is a harmonious, almost euphoric feeling of finally really living as life is intended to be. Forget me, just as I will forget about you. Know that I am happy. Hedler, your mother and spouse. Is written on the note.
Does this put me in mind of stuff that the Iron Pact is pretty known for? The sort of
no, they normally just kill people.
Captive. Yeah, that's so I'm like, the fact that they've taken a captive is like, this is weird. Very odd, very unusual. Like, but slender unhumans, that sounds pretty elvish to me. Yeah, but he didn't actually say elves. So that's... Yeah, Lothar is very... He's like, well, this is odd. And it's odd that the Twilight Friar was carrying this message back. Does he mention anything about the journal, about what his opinion on the letter is?
Yeah, at length he sort of muses over what it could be. The conclusion he seemed to come to is heresy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If in doubt, heresy.
I don't know what this is. This must burn!
It's some form of heresy. That's good enough for me. Let's cleanse it with the light of
does not sound
Prios.
like Prios's work to me.
Who cares about understanding the motives for these people? Let's just go and kill them. Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, Lothar rolls his eyes like, oh, all right, that's what we're working with here. Okay. And there's nothing else in the journal. Nothing about anything that they'd recently come across in the forest aside from that.
No, the last entry was the night before, where he writes about how the weather looks like it's about to turn, and that they shall bed down and have a meal and some music before continuing on the journey tomorrow in more dour circumstances.
Okay. So is Schroffen still around, or have you disappeared?
No, I'm looking over your shoulder, reading your letter there. Kind of furrowing my brow with reference of an owner and slaves and whatnot. Would we know, or would I know, what Twilight Thistle is?
Oh yeah, Twilight Thistle is well known to everybody. It's incredibly rare. It is said to be like a miracle cure for all sorts of stuff. You'd all know of a town called Thistlehold, which is a significant settlement of the Ambrians right on the edge of the forest. And the reason why it's called Thistlehold is because the guy who founded it, the mayor, Lassifor Night Pitch, he had actually returned with some of this this Twilight Thistle and delivered it to the Queen when her mother was on her deathbed, or so it is said. And as a result, it's something which everyone wants, right? Like, it's said to be the wonder cure for everything. If you make it into tinctures and things, it is incredibly hard to find. Generally, when it's found, it's a single sort of bush here or there. There's rumors of places where there's lots of it out in the wilderness. Whoever could find a reliable supply of it would be rich beyond measure. I mean, the guy who found, the biggest lot ever found, known to have been found, is what Lassifor found, and he got a town and was made a duke, right? Like, this is significant stuff.
Oh, no. This is not what we need Schroffen reading. This is like the opposite of what Schroffen needs to see. This is like when Lothar's like, am I a faster reader? Can I quickly switch the page? Like, look over my shoulder and see your eyes bulging and I could become famous and rich.
To be fair, she said she never found it.
Yeah, but it makes sense that this would be the sort of thing that if such a like a cultivated area of it exists, it would be heavily guarded by barbarian tribes and things like that. Because
Or
they don't
yeah,
like
I mean,
barbarians to, or something like
wherever it
Saying
is, no one's only one person's ever come back claiming to have found any, and that was a one-off.
and everybody else died.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay.
Like this is it's rare stuff.
Well, it's an interesting read. But there's not much we can do about it now. We have other concerns. Yes?
Yes, as nice as it would be to find a feel of that stuff, there would be no way for us to track back where this actually came from.
That is true.
So, unfortunately, all the people that we could help with it all, ourselves included,
well, we know the message was left in the bottle by the river, so... But the trail is cold. You are quite right.
Well, technically we know who we have to deliver the brooch to, which from there we could see if he knows where his wife was headed to. Potentially tracking back to where this field, mythical field at this point, is located.
Yeah, but these are thoughts for another day, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, we can discuss this when we finish the current job.
Yeah, let's take care of the
Pentio, I can't hear you from all the way over there. What are you on about? He's mumbling to himself.
He finished up with all the poison sacks, like putting them away. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" Talking about other stuff.
Just checking. Otherwise, you have ESP and it's getting freaky.
Well, for all he knows, you're sitting on one of these meerkats while he's in the process of skinning it. It overhears you. Right, so about this time, it's taken you a while to harvest like all the stuff and clear through these bodies. So I would say that you're in the process of reading and understanding this at the same time as these guys have just finished reading the note. It just so happened that the book was the last thing they found amongst the bodies. That goes for Verm as well. So you've all sort of finished doing what you were doing.
Okay. On his way back toward them, he does overhear them talking, and he's kind of glancing at each body on the way by, taking the tip of his foot and rolling them over if they're face down and looking at their faces, trying to identify somebody he's looking for. But each one he doesn't, and he continues past. But while still looking down, he overhears them at this point and says, "Other concerns. We do have a job to do, you know."
Yes, that is true, but things that finished.
Well, if the legends are true, I could see that to our benefit.
I want to tell
Liam, what's the protocol around Church of Prios and disposing of bodies in the correct fashion?
There's a few ways. Obviously, if you can, you bury it at a sanctified ground near a Church of Prios. If that is not an option, a very common method that was adopted due to the War of the Dark Lords. When that was happening, people had a habit of not staying dead, so they started burning bodies. And then this was dressed up as being, we return them to the sky with Prios in the form of smoke and ash, that whole thing.
So there was a wagon right back the way we came. These bodies are separate from the rest of the carnage, if I'm remembering right. There was like a trail of...
these guys have come from the impression you get is their original camp, which you found torn apart sort of a fair distance away, and it seems as if there was a running battle to this place where they had their last stand.
Was there any kind of underbrush or dry... I mean, it's been wet, but there might be dry brushwood around, right?
Oh, well, actually, there's already the smoking remains of a fire. And also there's another patch of sort of smouldering earth nearby as well. It seems like these guys on the top of the hill, they built a fire and wrapped everything up around it. And nearby there is this weird smoking patch of turf, which is the source of the purpley grey smoke you saw earlier in the day.
Okay. Well, Lothar's going to... he doesn't care about the goblin, but well, actually, that's not true. He's going to grab all the bodies he can, and he's going to try and just make a mass grave and set fire to it on what he can.
Before Lothar does that, Verm wanted to approach him, laying still a blood-covered hand with meerkat blood on his left shoulder, and then bringing his face over Lothar's right shoulder, and it kind of whispers in his ear,
"May I see the note?"
Yes, but perhaps wipe the blood so that you don't ruin the text, huh?
Fear not, I will not ruin it. Hand it to me.
He'll take his hands and he'll wipe them off on his already very dirty clothing.
Lothar
This is fine.
The note's over. Knock yourself out if you understand the letters. I'm not sure in your education, but be that as it may.
You said Twilight Field. This
well, someone
will be the
said
key to our
Twilight
ascension.
Oh, not this again. Ugh.
To elevate mankind above all others.
I can see sometimes why the church wants to hunt you down. You sound like lunatics, you know that, huh?
It is for the betterment of us all, and you would see to it that none of this were to be. You are no better than beasts.
Oh, that's strong words coming from something that looks like they just came out of the dung pit, yeah?
There is no such thing as a dung pit where I'm from. Civilization
Well,
creates
that's just your home, isn't it, yeah? That's just your hut.
Yeah, you haven't seen where they live.
I would love to introduce you to my home one day, Lothar. If only you were so lucky. Too bad it is burned to the ground, filled with disease and squalor.
That makes sense. Dung does burn very well.
Okay, guys, let's kind of keep this on topic. Don't need you to kill yourselves.
We should move while the trail is still fresh.
Lothar's going to ignore him and start piling the bodies and stoking the fire.
It's a waste.
It doesn't have to be like a
carry.
massive bonfire. It just has to be like, enough to burn the majority of whatever he can get to burn off it. I mean, I'm sure that the Twilight Friars would have had some like holy oil or something, on them.
Yeah.
They're all about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I tell you what, make me a cunning test.
Okay. What is my cunning? Oh, that's going to pass.
Right, okay. So you spend a while doing this, maybe an hour or so, sort of getting the fire up and collecting bits of wooden things, and you stack the bodies up. Do you also stack the goblin with it?
Yeah, I thought about it, and then you probably see that. Like he grabs the Ambrians, puts them in a thing, and then he looks at the goblin, and you see maybe him ponder, brow furrow, and then he goes over and picks up the goblin and takes it and puts it by the fire.
So, okay, you're going to burn the heathen as well. Okay. You stack them all up and you manage to get the bonfire going, which is difficult given the rain. The rain is picking up. It is getting quite heavy. But, you persevere and eventually you manage to get a decent fire going. Like you say, you use some holy oils, and they also have sort of lamp oil on them as well, which is sort of necessary to really get it going. So after a while, you have the fire going. Whilst that's going on, Verm notices that the other smoking patch of earth, the unnatural color coming from it, you sort of wander on over, or like have a closer look, and you notice that it's almost a perfectly circular patch of earth, and in the middle of it is a coin showing no signs of scorching, despite the rest of the burn, right in the middle of this patch of scorched earth. You recognize the unmistakable scent of magic emanating from it.
Yeah, he'd go up close to it and crouch above it, but carefully trace his fingers around it, but he's unsettled by it. Is there any sense of darker magic about this coin, or is it just magic?
You don't recognize what sort of ritual it is. All magic in this setting breeds corruption, and you don't have witch sight, do you?
Nope.
No. Yeah, you get a feeling of like there was a fair bit of energy here, and it must have been a pretty nasty source of this this energy, this corruption. But other than that, you're not entirely sure.
Would it appear to be a ritual that would take in place, or is it not evident?
You can't really tell.
Okay. Yeah. And what does the coin look like? Does it have any markings that appear different from something I've seen before?
It looks like a stock standard everyday Ambrium thaler, like a gold coin. Pretty standard, really. The sort of thing you'd hand over on the counter all the time. The only thing different about it is it's literally smack bang in the middle of this scorched earth.
Okay. He'd leave it, and he would look over to Lothar, go closer to Lothar. And is Lothar still stacking bodies right now?
I'm probably stoking wood on the fire, probably. Like the bodies are there, and he's just keeping the flames going.
Okay. Well, Vern will say,
Lothar, what you're doing is unimportant. There's something that you should look at. That way.
I'll point toward
where I think I would dispute your characterization, but I will follow you. For the sake of comedy.
Comedy is you burning bodies that are perfectly good food for the birds above. But yes, no more of your prattling.
I'm glad that you specified. I thought that maybe you were feeling very hungry.
If I were hungry, I'd eat the corpses fresh on the ground, instead of making waste of them like you would.
Well, that's probably why I burn them, huh? Anyway, what do you want to show me, huh?
Vern walks a couple more steps up toward where that site of the magic was and points down to the coin.
There. Can you make sense of that?
This is some ritual, I guess. Would this strike me as a very common surgery ritual, or
no?
Because I don't have any ritual thing, no idea.
No, it does not. It's not something you've heard of before.
Well, it's not a common surgery ritual, so. And he looks around. Did we check the goblin much? Did someone go through the goblin's loot?
Yeah, Siofan would have gone through. Yeah. Siofan would have found the usual sort of knickknacks you find in the pocket of a goblin, old bones, twigs, sticks, money. Not much, but money. It looked like your classic sort of the same thing you see with barbarians, where they've sort of allowed themselves to be colonized, right? So obviously still a native, indigenous culture, but at the same time clearly trying to work with Ambrians because that's where their money's at.
Well, all I can tell you is it's not good. Not good at all.
And you know this.
What it's from. No, I just do not know what it is from. Therefore,
just like you, Lothar. To fabricate answers and label them all evil. Get back to your burning. We should be off before long.
Lothar stands there for a couple of seconds, like clearly not acknowledging the dismissal, and then goes, I think I shall go back to the fire, huh?
I think you should.
Himself, huh? I'm going because I want to, not because you told me to.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, whilst the rest of the fire burning continues, well, as you get ready to light the fire, what is everyone else up to? Anything in particular?
So we've burnt an hour dealing with this. Pencho would be eager to continue the hunt. We're right on their trail. There's 2 of them wounded. Their tracks probably aren't that hard to follow. We're burning time here.
Well, the rain's coming down pretty good now, so it'd be harder to find a decent trail for them.
So, Pentio is wanting to move on. Doesn't see, yep. But Siofin, are you wanting to camp? Are you, or are you?
What time of day is it?
Sort of early mid-afternoon, 2 p.m.-ish.
No, I would say at this point we'd probably, I'd be with Pentio. I'd be getting eager to start moving on. We've been here for a little while now. We've done everything that we can. Aside from Lothar burning the rest of the bodies, there's nothing else for us here, nor do I want to camp here itself. And like you said, trying to track these creatures will be harder as more rain falls. So getting a better start now would be our best bet, in my opinion.
Okay.
I agree. You just have to convince the fanatic.
He says, looking at Lothar, wasting time.
We just have to leave. He will follow.
Remember to jot down the 8 coins worth, assuming you took them with you, and the other bits and pieces that you found. Okay. Tracks are easy to find. You guarantee the try facts to find tracks. Sorry. So just roll me a vigilance just to see how well you do at tracking the tracks, and what else you find. This is for Siofin. 12. That's you got 15, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you do a stock standard to the job at tracking. It's not outstanding, but it is getting more and more difficult in the rain. But you definitely don't lose the tracks at all. You notice at first you start by following the tracks of the ones that ran away from you, and then after a while you find them joining up with more tracks, and again you notice the distinctive larger paw prints. These ones are slightly older than the rest. There's more water settled in the imprint. You also noticed amongst the cat prints, there's the signs of dragging, as if something's been pulled along this path behind the cats. You carry on for some time. You're now heading north, deeper into the Davokar. You go for maybe an hour, 2 hours, and as you do, you find that mixed in amongst the cat prints, you start to see human prints, or humanoid prints, booted. You can tell by the style of boot it has a heel, so they're probably made in Ambria, and they're relatively recent, last hour or so. They don't have as much moisture in them, and they seem to be, you can tell that this happened relatively concurrent with the other 2 that you were originally tracking. Maybe slightly before, slightly after, you're not sure. At times these tracks sort of meander off away from the cat tracks and they come back. You carry on until ahead of you see the forest starts to dip into a ravine. It gives you this weird sort of sensation where the trees sort of come down in front of you and you're walking towards the tops of trees before there's a sharp dip downwards into this tight gully with stony sides either side, and you can see down in there is where these tracks go. I'm assuming you go into the gully.
Yeah. before we do, can I ask a quick question? Given that I know it's a large cat, we suspect it has some sort of like mental dominating powers, and combined with the drained corpses from before, can I attempt a beast lore check to see if I have any idea of what the heck this thing is before we catch up to it?
Yes, you can, Ryan.
Now, you should really say that openly. Say it to me, because I also have beast lore, and we could then both roll to... Not a bad roll, though.
I get a 5.
5. What's your cunning?
13.
13? Okay. I'll also allow Theophan to roll, and we'll see together if the two of you discussing things come up with something. Okay.
No, I don't get that one.
You two discuss this for a while. We'll say while you're tracking, this is an ongoing discussion. You, Pentio, vaguely remember hearing rumors from some of the barbarian traders that used to come to your village when you were staying at Torva's Watch. They used to trade with barbarians quite a bit, and there was rumors of what they called blood cats, cats which were known to feast on just suck people dry, and then leave their corpses for other animals to eat. Theophan, on the other hand, is convinced this is nonsense. This is just the Karaha tribes leading you astray with more of their superstition and fancy. She's never heard anything of the sort, and she grew up in a Davokar, don't you know? And so the two of you are discussing this. You've never seen any of these things, and this is the sort of thing that people talk about the way that today we would talk about fairies, right? Like it's something which people clearly believed in. It's something which in modern times we know are probably nothing. We don't worry about it, but it's something that you think about. It's a folklore, rumor, legend.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Not in my Davokar.
Yeah.
In my experience living in the Davokar, in every legend there is a morsel of truth, but it doesn't stop us from going forward. So
you go into the ravine.
Yes.
Cool. You head down. You're following the tracks. At this point, the weather's coming down. It's really hosing down. You've got rain is just bucketing in from up above, and because you're in a forest, you get that weird effect where you can hear the rain, and around you it's dropping, but it doesn't match up with the sound. You can tell the rain's pelting the trees, but around you is just big fat driplets and trickles running off leaves. As you go down into the gully, the floor gets really slippery and slushy as moisture and water is just falling in here and pooling along the bottom of the ravine. But despite this, despite the fact that dulls the senses, noise is dampened by the sound, and smell doesn't travel far because everything's washed by the smell of rain. Before you see the next thing, you smell it. It's the unmistakable acrid stench of cat urine, which if you've ever had a kitten, you know, not nice. Yeah, and it hits you, undeniably so. And then shortly after, you sort of round a bend in the ravine, and you see a narrow cave leading into the rocks. And you can see here paw prints come and go. The undergrowth here is clearly been, this not existence from the coming and going of animals. It's just a dirt, although currently mud track. And here there's bones, mostly picked clean, just sort of scattered around. And you know that you have found the den of these cats. As above you, thunder crashes.
Well, this is not going to be nice.
It does stink too.
Any ideas of how we should approach this? Am I able to see anything fresh from...
Sorry, what was that, Charlotte?
Is there any way for us to? Well, can I see if there's anything recent coming in or going out?
The tracks you're following, the tracks you're following go in. The most recent tracks are going in, and the most recent tracks are the person's tracks, who seems to have delved into this cave. And when I say cave, I'm not talking a big cave. I'm talking like a crack in the rocks that you could sort of go sideways and squeeze through to get in.
And were the humanoid tracks following the cat tracks?
Seems so, yes.
Well, now we have the advantage. I could perform one of two rituals. I could create my witch circle and we could wait, or I could send Kaka in, see what waits for us inside.
Is there anything we could use to block the entrance in this thing?
We have a bear trap still.
Yeah, you've got your traps. I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, it's a rocky ravine. You could always grab things and load them into the crevice in the side of the rock. Yeah. You can tell looking at this rock, it's limestone, so it's quite porous. You wouldn't be surprised if there's other entry points in and out of this place. This just seems to be the most obvious one.
Yeah, right. I'm just thinking. So Pencho is just sort of spitballing as he's taking in the environment and thinking about what to do. We could attempt to lure them out and set a trap or something in front of it and block the passage, so the others have to like double back and come out another exit. So that we don't deal with them all at once. We can take them as they come.
I will try and interrupt him with that. If we don't know where the other exits are, we don't need them coming out and flanking us. So I think, while I agree with the trap at the entrance of it, I think that Verm should send, what's the bird's name? Kaka?
Kaka. It will take an hour for me to do that.
And while he does that, we keep Verm safe. That was probably the safest bet that we can place at this point. We've been walking for a while now, so is dusk starting to set in, or?
Yeah, you're getting later into the day. You don't know if, like, you think dusk is still a wee ways off, but because of the heavy sky cover, light's dropping pretty quick, especially because you're in this ravine. Yeah. Like, the ravine around you, it's not massive. We're talking like maybe 5 to 10 meter walls. You could scramble up them if you need to. They're not cliffs. They're just like, it's like a rocky sort of valley, you know?
I would still go with what I was saying to Verm before about using his crow companion there.
Yeah, seems
Well, if we're in agreement,
It's
may as well put down the traps as well at the same time. Around me or the entrance, either one.
I say we put them around the entrance because we will be around you.
And I trust that you will stay that way.
If we have to fight them, well, we can have our backs to the ravine, so they cannot get behind us.
Well, when you're ready to begin.
And Verm walks like near one of the walls where he feels like his back's kind of covered by the ravine, as Lothar suggested. And he'll sit down and start spreading out bits of he has powders that he keeps ground, different kinds of herbs that are ground into powders and dried, and starts spreading them in a bit of a circle around himself as Kraka, just like last time, sits perched in front of him still, and he begins chanting.
Lothar, in anticipation, is going to witch hammer his mace.
Okay. Both of you roll corruption. Right, so the you do your ritual, and what was the name again? Kraka?
Yep. Kraka.
Yeah. You have the familiar sensation of suddenly being very aware of things in a bird sense. Your eyesight is extremely focused, and as is your hearing, this sense that humans have of everything being quite around them is sort of suddenly cut into this almost fisheye view of the world, and which can sort of almost articulate individually each side, and everything around you is suddenly very big, and you take off, I'm assuming, and you head into the cave?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, maybe first I try to look a little bit above the cave. If it looks like there's several entrances or something, that'd be one thing I would want to know up front. But if it doesn't, I would just go down through the main entrance that we saw.
Okay, so yeah, Krakoa takes off, and you're aware that the rain to you, which is a slight annoyance, when it hits him, it's significant. Nevertheless, Krakoa flies up and down the ravine, dodging the larger drops of water, and you make out here and there holes and fissures in the rocks. You've actually seen things like this in the past, where once like some great amount of water came through here and sort of washed away parts of this area, thus the ravine, and it wore its way into what you would know to be the Underdark, which is like a subterranean essence, so like a subterranean sort of almost separate world, or like a cave structure and caverns that exists beneath the Davokar, inside of which you find trolls and other subterranean creatures, and you know that all throughout the Davokar this Underdark exists, this underworld, and here seems to be one of the places where once a river flowed through here, and then over time wore its way through the rock and then poured down into there. So you see numerous sort of small cracks and things, and you also know that meerkats notorious for being able to squeeze through small spaces. So assuming these cave networks are all connected, you can see there's lots of ways out. That being said, there is only one obvious entrance, the main entrance, which is the you could tell is the go-to, and that is the one you're currently seated in front of. Krakoa sort of swings around through the air and dives through the small crevice into the near pitch black darkness of this cave. What he is immediately aware of, I'm assuming, by the way, that your bird's a he, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. As Krakoa flies in here, the first thing he hears is sound, the rushing of water. Now, where Krakoa is, they can't see a lot of water, but you've come to recognize that the way the senses of your bird works is it tends to enhance distant sounds. And through here, you can just hear the echoes of somewhere there's a lot of rushing water, with all the rain clearly stirring things up. You also notice that there are small little offshoots from this main cave of worn down limestone. You can tell that this cave has had a lot of traffic by the smoothness of the main passage, though shooting off different angles is small. And I'm talking like anywhere from a few inches to a few feet wide tunnels and things that disappear off through the limestone. How far into this cave are you wanting to send the bird?
As far as it takes to find something of significance. Nothing to stop until then.
Yeah, so you fly in, and around again there's signs of bones, the different species, mostly animal, where clearly these predators and perhaps others have used this cave as a den, and where they feast. The smell of cat urine and droppings is very prominent as you sort of fly through the main passage. Ahead, you notice around a bend, after maybe 20 minutes or so of flying, a glow on the wall, moving, indicative of, say, a torch or a lantern. Do you fly around the bend towards it?
More cautiously, but yeah. enough to get sight, but also be a little bit more stealthed if I'm able.
Cool. So yeah, as you sort of you cautiously approach, you can hear sort of deep, heavy breathing as someone in some form of distress, perhaps even pain, makes their way up ahead. As Krikor sort of rounds the corner, he makes out somebody with an odd sight. This person's limping with a strange gait. You can't quite see the source of the limp or why. They appear to be bleeding, like quite all over. Their hands are exposed, and one of their forearms is exposed with a wound in it. And they're wearing some sort of fur over their shoulders from some wild animal that they wear as a cloak. Holding up a torch, just a basic torch, a bundle of sticks, oil, and sort of spluttering out black smoke everywhere. And in the other hand, they hold a sword, which appears to be slightly too big for this person. The person's not very large, maybe sort of 5'3", 5'4", slightly taller than Pentio, but shorter than most people, and relatively frail. And you get the impression that this person's relatively young as they sort of struggle their way through. At hearing the sound of the bird nearing, like the flapping of wings, they look around in sort of panic almost, but they don't quite make out the dark bird in the darkness. This is clearly someone who's feeling somewhat out of their element. You recognize this look on their face as a look of distress, but the way that they keep moving forward despite slipping and tumbling on the wet, slick rocks imparts some sort of determination to you as well. And
these people are bound in a way? Are they like bound together and being led in front of them somehow?
This is just one person.
That's just one person. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that person doing? Just walking along?
Yeah, you can tell that water is getting in here from the rains above, so they're sort of slipping and sliding and occasionally sort of like stumbling as they make their way along this main path, the main route that you can tell is likely to have been the way that the cats came.
Is it possible? Is the texture of the soil in this cave? Are there still prints on the ground?
Yeah, not really. It's mostly limestone, but you can tell that it's been worn away from one rain like this, but also years of being walked on by animals coming and going. But this is the only obvious path, and it's certainly, while the cats are known to squeeze in and out of small spaces, whatever they were dragging might not. And you've seen no signs to suggest that anything else has been discarded along this path.
I'd fly right past it. Fuck it. The person just fly past them to see what they're walking towards.
Yeah, you carry on. And you get a wee bit sort of further up ahead. It's about 15 minutes later as you fly. You can tell if you're walking, it would take a lot longer because the terrain gets more and more difficult and rocky and the path less well defined. But soon you're greeted by a giant space, black. And at first you feel like you're flowing into the night sky. There is glittering lights all over, and there's glittering lights moving on the ground. And you realize you've come into a large cavern here in the Underdark. Underworld. I'm not sure if they call it Underdark in Symbaroum. Anyway, this large cavern. And it takes you a moment before it's actually, as the bird flies, you realize that some of these glittering lights that at first you think are stars are coming very close to you, and you sort of have to move, and you realize that you're in a large cavern of strings of glowworms coming down from the ceiling, and the reflections of which are reflected up by this lake below, which is rippling as water is being added to it from the rains. you see also another source of rippling in the waters, which is 2 meerkats seemingly swimming their way across this large lake to the other side.
And the only way to get to the other side is by swimming?
You could make your way around the edges, or try and come up with a raft or some such, but the direct way is swimming.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd press on. What's beyond that?
You press on? Okay. At this point, you're aware that you're a fair distance away from your camp. Again, not too bad as the bird, but if you're walking, it would be a distance. As you go across, just over the other side of the lake, the smell gets stronger, the smell of decay, which excites the bird part, the original, your familiars, like nature is tingled and excited by the stench of decay. As you go forward, and you find a large clearing, sort of down a couple of tunnels, and in this clearing is clearly the main part of this den. Off this den go several tunnels, similar in sizes to yours, the one that you've just come down, all in different directions. And in the middle of it, you start finding much more bones. You find exposed rib cages of food that was brought back here, the remains of some large reptile that must have been here a week or more, judging by the smell. And amongst them, you see, several meerkats sort of playing, it seems. At first, you think they're attacking someone who's on their back, one leg torn apart, the other good leg kicking these things away as they circle and sort of pounce at him. But you could tell by the way they're sort of just hitting it with their paws, claws not out, that they appear to be playing with what appears to be a survivor from the caravan that you discovered out in the wilderness.
And how many did you say there were?
You can see 3, but you can hear sounds around here echoing around that imply maybe 1 or 2 more might be nearby.
And this is still a relatively open area?
Yeah, I mean, 30 meters across, give or take. 30 odd yards.
I don't recall if I saw during the last encounter that there was one larger meerkat or something like that. I'm not sure if I saw it or if it was just Pentio and Shofen that saw that.
Roll a d20. Yeah, and in the because you are in the dark and things, and hold on, you're flying around. It is difficult to sort of see as there's you can only see things because you've got the night vision of your particular, this crow, so you can't quite make out anything else. You don't notice that any of these look particularly different to the others.
Okay. Well, unless it looks like there's anywhere else to search, I'd keep in mind the time it took to get here, how long it took, and then just send Krakau on back to myself, or fly him back. Okay.
Yeah, it's been about 45 minutes or so of flying, but you imagine if you had to walk, it'd be a couple of hours. You got the impression as you got in there that was definitely the domain. These cats were 100% relaxed in there. They didn't expect anything else to meet them. Do you stay with him as he flies back, or do you just sort of switch off and come back to yourself?
Assuming that he's able to navigate back to me, remember the way he went, then I would switch out and let him just come back.
Okay. As you switch out, the first thing you notice is that you're soaked. The rain has gotten heavier. Everyone else is standing around you, miserable and very moist from the rain that's been going on. But you come to, and you can tell them what you saw.
And he does. And
it would be about 3, maybe 4 hours. There was a boy, perhaps a girl, someone smaller, on the way in, far before I ran into any meerkats. But they were there. There's a large lake we'll have to cross. I didn't see a way by foot. There may be one, however. And beyond that, that is where the meerkats seem to find their rest.
Cats don't generally like water, so I'm assuming that there should be a different way around.
I saw 2 of them swimming in the water. If they were keen to avoid it, they may have done so.
Well, never mind then. How far of a walk would it take us to get to the water?
What was that, about 2 hours?
Hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah.
About an hour and a half, maybe. Maybe more.
Well, at least we won't have to worry about the dark, huh?
I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
What do you mean we won't have to worry about the dark? Of course we will.
I gesture at my flaming mace, just casting light in every direction.
I'll worry about standing near to you then.
Yeah. You said there's someone alive in there?
A person, it seemed. I didn't get a good look. Could have been a different kind of creature, but human-like, and headed down toward where the meerkats were.
Enemy of my enemy.
Unusual.
They seemed to be unsettled themselves, not as if they wanted to be there.
Interesting.
I'm
If we
wondering.
can catch up to them, we might get some more info from them.
If they are not dead first.
This is true.
I think delving forward is perhaps our best option. Sort of standing around out here and waiting. What do you think?
We will put them at an advantage.
What do you think, Chofin? Do we go in?
I don't know. Where are we sitting at now, day-wise? Like, how long would we have been awake?
Well, yeah, it's you're nearing the end of a long day. You got up at first light. It's nearing dawn. It's an autumn, so dusk. Sorry, it's nearing dusk. It's autumn, so 10 hours, 12 hours. You've been up and at it.
Okay,
Yeah, a bit of a break though.
We're starting at, well, a break's a break. A break is not a sleep or a nap. At this point, we're probably wanting to consider that our own fatigue might start to be a play. I would recommend that we go into the crevice, to go to the lake, and set up a camp. From that camp, we're able to hold position, be able to hold, be able to have a sentry on duty to make sure that we're not ambushed or anything. I mean, if the cat's only way in is through the water, we're going to hear them actually get into the water. And we're going to be able to focus on a specific area with the entrance that we come through being trapped itself. And I'm thinking that if we start to get attacked by the cats and they do it in force, there's what, 3 of them plus the big one now, or?
We have no evidence of the big one.
I didn't see any of different size. I saw 2 in the water, 3. Another person was alive. I failed to mention. And probably not for long. They'll be dead by the time we get there. But 3 there and 2 in the water, that makes 5. Perhaps more. It's a large open area.
Plus the big one, which is roaming around somewhere. At this point, I don't see any way that we can get to the person in time before he gets killed, or she gets killed. They are a bit of a wipe, but we can still finish what we came here to do. At the very least, we can wipe them all out, get the fangs, get back to town, get a reward, and rest up until we get our next job.
Get paid.
So, get that money.
It's good. Good idea, yeah.
I'm thinking to prevent the cats from getting to us from wherever they are. I'm assuming we would grab some of that oil instead of using it all to burn the bodies, or have some oil ourselves. My thought is to toss the oil and start on fire. to prevent the cats from
There's
escaping us.
one thing you might want to take into consideration that you'd know because you've got beast law is that with the cats having just fed, you'd know that at least for this evening, you're probably relatively safe from being hunted. Whereas if you were to leave it till tomorrow, it depends on how much the cats have had to eat. You did sort of disturb a bunch of them at their meal, so they may be out hunting again in the morning. They are nocturnal, but when you're below ground, day or night is irrelevant, really. Just something to consider.
Yeah. Pencho's no stranger to fatigue and pushing himself, and he sees the wisdom in taking a break. But we're close, and we're at the advantage. They're fed and tired. Some of them are wounded. We could finish this tonight.
We could, but are you going to like to swim across that lake in your armor and then get ready for a fight?
He said there may be another way across. We can see, or you and I have a bow and arrow. We'll just shoot at them. They'll come to us.
It's a big lake. Big lake.
Indirect fire.
Lob artillery.
It might be best to lure them to us.
Yeah.
Going
agree with
headlong,
that.
it may be difficult to retreat if we're on the other side of that lake.
Well, we only need to take 3 of them, so...
So, I'm going to push you
the
for a
rest will
plan.
allow it.
What are we doing?
Let's head in. We're going to head in and we're going to set up camp at the lake. And then we'll make our final decision from there, depending on how we're feeling.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll figure that out once we get in, I suppose.
Okay. You make your way in, and the squeeze to get through the initial entrance is quite difficult. You sort of have to go sideways, sort of suck your belly in and to squeeze through, but you do all make it in. As you sort of get inside, I'm assuming you light torches.
Lothar's mace is a burning.
Okay.
beacon of
Yeah. Okay.
Verm doesn't light his
You
own
just have-
torch. He just stays in the in distance of somebody that has one lit. He wants to be able to like retreat into the dark. Well, they're nocturnal anyway. Actually, never mind. He lit a torch. Why not? They could see him regardless. He was considering that for a moment, but then realized.
Fuck, for a second there, I was like, "Oh yes."
Please go up
Caught
by
himself.
yourself into the darkness.
Yeah. Oh,
See how that ends up.
Yeah. Okay. Is anyone else lighting torches?
Pencho
No?
has sword and
Okay.
shield. He doesn't have a hand for torch. He relies on the light of the others.
Okay. So that's implying then that Lothar's towards the front of this formation. So you start making your way
Pencho
through.
will be at his side
hold-
as best he can.
Yeah. Holding your mace aloft, which is remarkably difficult given how heavy a mace is compared to a torch. But you push on. In here,
Letting the light of
you can-
Prios guide us.
Exactly. In here, you can hear, drips and trickles as water makes its way through the porous limestone as you push your way through. At times, the ground is slippery. There are some times where one of you sort of slips onto your ass and sort of has to catch yourself. There are other times where the ground is treacherous and the stones are rough as sides of the cave have come down. It is a slow, arduous, journey, but it is one that you can make. It's the cave at parts widens, and at times you can stand side by side, and it's not so bad. Even now and then you enter rather large sort of caverns, and it takes you a moment to sort of acquaint as to where you are before you continue going. But you push on. After a while, the crow returns and perches itself up on Verm's shoulder, and you continue to push on. After a couple hours, you're walking around the corner of the cave, and you're met with this night sky vision yourself. At ground level, it's more obvious that you're looking at lots of glowing lights suspended from the ceiling, all sort of, faint bluish white, and this is reflected upon the ripples of this large lake, maybe the size of a football field, as you look out across it. You can hear the sound of all the water that's been feeding through the various cave networks leading to this lake, and you can hear the sound of just water, not quite rushing, but a constant, steady trickle. Could I please have Lothar roll me a discrete test?
Okay. No modifiers, I'm guessing. Let's see.
Okay.
You had
Not a 20, though. Could be worse.
Okay. Yeah, so you come around, and added to the reflection of the water, you can see the reflection of your mace as you're trying to maintain this fire. By the way, this is another scene because you've still got your mace going. You can hold on to your corruption, but Vern loses his. So your mace is reflected across this lake. Siofin, you're the most vigilant. Could you please roll me a vigilant test at -3?
We need a good roll.
And I get it.
Cool.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Close.
As you sort of come along, you hear the sound of someone speaking under their breath, and you sort of look and turn inside in time to see somebody there in the dark. You can only make out a silhouette, but you can tell they're holding a sword forward, which is shaking slightly. And what is worrying you is that there is a glow that seems to be emanating from inside a clenched fist of their other hand. And this person is sort of mumbling and slowly making their way towards you. What do you do?
I draw my bow and tell them to stop where they are, or I will shoot.
The shape stops, and you can see the glow in the hand is slightly intensifying. And so this person's, who are you? What do you want? Stay back! Stay back! I have a sword.
I have a bow. The question is, who are you and what do you want? What is in your hand? What are you doing here?
You tell me what you're doing here. I don't want to use this. And he levels his sword at you. All of you can see what's going on at this point.
You'll be dead before you get the chance.
There is four of us, and there is one of you. Why don't you tell us, seeing as we have the numbers advantage? You are no threat to us. So that is why we stopped to talk. You are clearly no threat to us. So talk to us.
I'm going to cut Lothar off. I'm going to undraw my bow. What the hell's the proper word for that? I guess I'm going to undraw my bow. I'm going to release it. Kind of.
You shoot him because you released the bow.
You shoot him. Roll accurate. No. Okay. Yeah.
I'll have the arrow in one hand, bow in the other. I'll kind of hold him up and kind of make a sign of peace. It's like, we don't want to do anything that any of us is going to regret. Let's just talk.
Why did you interrupt me just to say what I had already said? This doesn't make no sense.
The glowing.
You have to understand me. You're kind of hard sometimes, and you know funny.
The glowing hand sort of recedes a bit, and the guy looks towards both Lothar and Pentio, although you can't really make him out. He's still in the dark, but you sort of get the impression of a moving head, and goes, "You Ambrians? What What are you doing down here? He has an Ambrian accent.
Pentio simply says, I'm on a job.
He sort of pauses for a moment and then says, and when he says this, it's a question, but it's a hopeful one. You hear the tone in his voice. And you won't hurt me.
Not if you don't give us a reason. We have no reason to hurt you. No, of course not.
There's a visible sort of like relief. You see the guy's shoulders drop, and he sort of steps forward. What you see is a young boy. When I say boy, I mean late teens. And the most immediately noticeable thing about him, the hair is wet and bedraggled, so shoulder length, dark hair, gash up his arm. But aside from the wound, the most obvious thing is there is small weeping sores all over his body. Verm immediately recognizes this. Actually, maybe even Lothar. Both of you would immediately recognize this as signs of corruption. He steps forward, and when he speaks, you notice his gums are bleeding. I've been, and he sort of draws himself up tall. I've been hunting. I need to find the beasts that live here. What are you doing here?
Oh, well, this is coincidence. Maybe you could help us. We could help you. And then we are all happy together, huh?
Or he could push himself too far and become an abomination. How did you get that corruption upon you, boy?
There's already one abomination in this party, so what's one more?
At the mention of abomination, his sword comes up again straight away, and he sort of has the hand sort of shaking sword towards you. Oh, I'm not an abomination. No,
Not yet.
Prios, I was raised by a Twilight Friar. No. Prios.
How
saves.
did you become corrupt the way you are? Those sores on your skin, how did that happen?
This is just some forest infection. I don't know. Walking through this thing, and he indicates around broadly.
Verm looks over at Lothar.
That was you, wasn't it?
Say again, sorry, Plague.
The ritual at the wagon with the coin. Was that your doing?
He there's a noticeable sort of flinch as you say that. No, I wouldn't do. No, that wasn't me. No. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I ran. I fled. That's all I did. I fled.
And you're behind them now, after they've gotten into their den.
There's a problem with fleeing towards the things that you are fleeing from. That is not fleeing. That is following.
Well, Prios teaches to strike down those who have wronged him. Doesn't he? And they killed Twilight Friars. They are agents of evil. Clearly. Yeah? Good people.
You've stepped too far into the maw of madness, boy, and you will become one like them. Zealots and fanatics, all of you. Lothar, change the boy's mind. Do not make us regret what we'll have to do.
So this is, I guess you'd call us blight marked, right?
Yes.
Has some form of blight marking. How far gone towards abomination is he?
To know that, you'd need to have witch sight.
I turn to Verm and I ask Verm if there's any way to save the boy.
Not that I am capable
of. I like how you're doing this. I like how you're doing this, like in front of him. Like, can we save him? What's his prognosis, Doctor?
Well, it's terminal. He's going to die.
Aren't we all?
Right now, the boy has a chance to turn back There is ways, but not that I am capable of, nor he. Not now, not here. But if he presses forward and exerts himself any further than he already has, there will be no turning back, and it will be our lives at stake.
I can't. I must. I must. He's still pointing the sword towards you all. I must do this. I don't think you understand. Vengeance must.
Well, it's okay. We understand vengeance. It wasn't too long ago that there was 5 of us. Now there's 4, and we had our vengeance.
At this point, Lothar sort of puts his hand back behind the rest of the party and steps towards the guy and just sort of gestures. Lothar gestures with his other hand to be like, "Hey, you and I can talk together, one-on-one."
Are you indicating the light of? You're still holding on to your lit mace, yeah?
Yeah, but I'm with the offhand. I'm gesturing like, "Hey, come, just."
So where is your mace?
Right hand.
You're putting it behind you?
No,
okay.
I'm like offhand because I can't see otherwise. This is the only light source.
Okay, you step towards him and he sort of sees you and he seems to trust you. Are you currently appearing to be a changeling?
I think it would make sense that he would have automatically switched to some random human guys as the changing thing when we stepped into the... Like that sort of instinctual thing when he hears another voice that he doesn't recognize. Like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Face on. Okay, he recognizes you.
Pretty much.
He straight away not recognizes you, but he trusts you. As you walk forward, he sort of, he's holding the sword towards Verm, the one who's calling people abominations, but he sort of doesn't seem to shy away from you as you come forward.
Yeah. So I say, "Well, brother, where are you from?"
Thistlehold.
Ah. Well, I understand the need for vengeance, and yes, it is what Priors would teach. But yes, I do not like the look of the rash you have there. I want to help you, but you must make me a promise in front of the god, Priors, that you will avoid any such activities that would endanger your immortal soul. Do you understand what I am saying?
We're in a place full of darkness. Like, if such a promise can't be kept here.
There is not that much darkness. And I sort of gesture towards the mace. There is light here also. There is a light to guide you back to the correct path.
He looks at you. Can you please write, whichever is highest, roll vigilance or cunning for you?
Ooh, I think it's cunning. No, it's definitely not cunning. They're both pretty bad. Okay, 9 to beat. This would be vigilance.
As you look at this kid, you get a sense of familiarity. Like, he seems familiar to you, but you're not sure why. He sort of looks at you and he's like, "Please, I have to do this. This is all I have." And he sort of indicates across the lake. "They're over there. I heard them."
Yes, I want to help you with that. What I am trying to... There is the darkness here, and I think that the darkness has found its way into you. And what I want to do is get you to do the jobs that Priors would want, but without any further corruption.
Roll persuasive.
Okay, come on. Big whammies, big whammies, big whammies. That might be good enough. Yep, my persuasive's 13.
He sort of listens and just starts nodding, and his head drops and his sword drops, and he just sort of nods, and you realize the boy's sobbing at this point, and he says, we need to do this.
Yeah. That we do. We are here to help you. You just have to do it in the way that Prios would want. And there I have been sent clearly by Prios to guide you in this endeavor. So just do as I say, and we will be fine.
He sort of nods and just starts sort of sobbing quietly, and he sheathes his sword and just sort of trusts in you. You feel like you've convinced him that you are here on behalf of Prius.
I put my arm around his shoulder and I lead him back to the party. And I say, there, we have had accommodation. There will be no problem with this man.
There will be a problem if he comes with us. He should go back to the entrance and make way back to town.
I give them a very pointed look.
He either goes and seeks his vengeance alone, or he goes back, not with us.
At the very least, we
Not
can
with
have
me.
him deal with him. We can make sure that he has a full belly. Let's go set up camp. Let's get ready for the evening, or whatever time of day it is, and we'll go from there. Let's get a fire going.
Fair enough.
Verm looks at the boy he's clearly very cautious and wants to keep his distance, but we'll agree to that.
Okay. So we're setting a camp. Is that the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so.
Right, so you start setting up a camp. Are you going to light a fire? We'll just have a quiet camp on the banks of the lake.
Quiet camp seems nice right about now.
Yeah.
Okay. You all set up a camp. How are you guys going to do your watch? Are you going to have like a double watch? You're just going to have a single one? What are you wanting to do on that front?
I think that we should be okay with just a single. If we trap the other entrances to the lake itself, we'll be able to hear if something goes off. Then we can focus our attention on the lake itself. I'm not sure what everyone else is thinking on that, but I relay my concerns or my thoughts to them, and I'll give feedback.
Yeah, Verm would as he's done almost every time the party sets camp, he would use his witch circle just around the location we're camping, and at the very least he would make sure that he's inside of it, even if nobody else wanted to be in it.
Mm.
Do you let Luca, by the way, he had introduced himself, Luca the boy, is he allowed in the circle?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Cool. So you guys set up a camp. You get the circle going and set up a camp. Could somebody please roll me a D-form? Anyone? Well, Charlotte, or whoever that was. Charlotte, 1. Okay. Pentio, please roll me a vigilance test.
Okay. I'm not good at that at all. Negative. That is a fail. 12 targeting.
Okay. You get through a while. There's no natural sort of dawn or dusk, but after a time, you all sort of come to, and as you're coming to, you realize that Luca seems to have slipped off in the night. You're not entirely sure where. You're all inside the circle, and Luca is gone. He doesn't seem to have taken any of your stuff. He had an opportunity to, and he didn't. He is just gone. Around you, the sound of rising water continues, and you get the distinct impression that in the hours you've been asleep, the lake has gotten higher and closer to your camp. Do y'all continue?
Well, that's not comfortable.
I mean, how close are we talking? If we were to estimate how many more hours it would take for the to reach us?
A long time. It wouldn't fill up the whole area, but it's definitely getting deeper. You have no doubt that there's tunnels out there which are probably flooded, but the one that you've just come down is quite steep, so it's probably okay.
I don't see any, or Verm doesn't see any reason for alarm just yet.
Okay. How do you intend to go forward? Are you going to try and go across this lake or go around it? You can see that the wear and tear on the rocks indicates that normally the cats come and go by going around the lake. So you don't know why these other ones would have been swimming.
Bencho would prefer to go around. He's not a big fan of swimming in armor.
Perhaps we should look for a way around before we commit to swimming. I wouldn't want to get caught in the middle of the water.
Ja, das ist gut.
Okay. You start moving around, and after a time, you encounter like a place where the path would normally be fine, but the water has come up, and it's a couple of feet deep where the path would be. It's like in a bit of a natural divot in this path. You can't walk around it, so you have to splash through. And as you do, you get to the other side, and you can see drying the remnants of footprints that would imply Luca came this way. You carry on a while longer, and you find another similar thing, but this time it's deeper. Over the other side, it's not very wide, not quite wide, like, you know, narrow enough to jump across, but you can see the other side, you know, in the light, you can see footprints where Luca's definitely carried on that way as well. But there's a gap that you're gonna have to sort of at least wade through here. Do you take any special precautions? Do you just wade through?
Can we see into the water at all?
It's pretty mucky, like it's been bringing in mud and stuff from up above as it comes through the tunnels.
I left my.
I don't know if you've ever seen if you've ever seen water after a storm when a creek's flooded, it's just filth. Yeah.
Right. I motioned to Lothar to use the haft of his mace as a bit of a prod to kind of feel his way along if we want to go wading into the water.
There's no like debris around that I could use instead of my mace, right? Is it like a stick or something?
Sure, you can find a stick.
Yeah, I'll sort of with a skance look at Shoffin asking me to such a callous use of my blessed mace and find a stick and use that instead. Like I look scandalized at the very idea.
It's treacherous going through this water. I'm assuming you go through first. Yeah, you guys go through, and it's treacherous. As who's coming up last?
Verm's definitely got a habit of letting everyone else do dangerous stuff first, so yeah, he's behind. He's last. Okay. With that,
as you cross, your pig struggles a wee bit. It sort of has to swim, and it's making a fair bit of racket as it does so. And as you cross, as you sort of reach the other side, you feel the distinctive feeling of something rubbing against your leg, briefly, and it sort of causes you to jump. You sort of jump out onto the banks of the water.
What was that? Something's in the water.
No, it wasn't. It was just your imagination.
Lothar, stick your mace inside. Illuminate it. Something is there, I'm telling you.
I look at, again, as precedent has been set, I look scandalized at the very idea of throwing the mace underwater like this, and I just carry on to the other side, ignoring the whiny, crying wolf Verm.
Verm would position himself no longer in the back, just for he's getting it.
Okay, you carry on, and there's a couple other sections. You carry on. There's a few other sections where you have to go through the water, but nothing quite so deep. and you manage to make your way around the lake. This takes a long time, hours even. As you're doing it, you notice ahead that you're approaching the sort of tunnel that leads from the lake tunnel towards the den. Well, at least Verm recognizes this, with the rest of you just sort of sees a tunnel leading up away from the lake. At the lip of this sort of like natural ramp that leads up, you can see the shape of a young, of young Luca, sort of leopard crawling up to the edge of this lip to sort of look over into what Verm knows to be the den. He's maybe 50 meters ahead of you. You can just only make him out in the glow of the glowworms.
If the boy wants to use himself as bait, we should take advantage of it.
Lothar has a wolfish grin on his face at that mention of using him as bait.
Okay, so you guys start moving forward, and then as you get closer, he seems oblivious to you. You see again that glow of his fist starting to glow, and he stands up, and from his fist emanates this bright shower of sparks as what looks like glowing embers fly forward. As he does, his whole body seems to glow with an internal light just for a moment. And you notice the glowing is strongest on his sores, all up his arms and along the side of his face, like little pinpricks of light as he throws out this blast of fire. You hear...
How far away are we from him?
30 odd meters.
Okay.
Around the corner, you can hear distinctly the sound of us, like a in pain screaming meerkat.
I'm going to be jogging up to Luca.
Lothar, you shouldn't. Chauvin, you have to shoot the boy. Put him down before he turns. It will not be good for any of us if he does.
Is Lothar's mace
ignored what Vern's saying. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? Go
Just
again, Charlotte?
wondering if Lothar's mace is still on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's our only light source, so nobody
And
bothered
it's
lighting another
actual
torch.
fire, like ignition source.
Like it's wreathed in flame.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
a
I'm
burning
going
mace.
We're not knee deep in water. We're ankle deep kind of deal, or are we on ground now?
You're on the banks of this lake.
Okay, I'm going to have my bow. I'm going to grab my other flaming, my one treated arrow that I still have. I'm going to quickly pull out of my quiver, lean over to Lothar with his flaming mace, ignite the arrow.
I've already run, I didn't stop for you guys to have a conversation. I was already running.
I'm going to draw my bow. I'm going to shoot the arrow through the mace's fire, igniting the arrow into the boy.
It doesn't need to be ignited.
Trick
It is
shot.
itself elemental fire.
That's so fucking
still
badass,
looks cool.
though.
Yeah,
It does-
right.
Okay,
Pentio would have taken off after Lothar.
okay, right. So you guys go running forward, and the other two, the two barbarians, stay behind. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You two go running forward. An arrow shoots past you as Charlotte rolls me her usual attack with the arrow at -2.
Oh, we got this.
Oof. Yeah. Roll damage.
I wish he had
What
used
is
the fire
that?
arrow, though.
D10. Oh.
Yeah.
Plus
arrow sort of.
D4.
Sorry?
Because
The
it's
fire
elemental
damage.
fire, there's bonus damage.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
You said
Roll
D4?
D4.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
D4,
Additional D4. Okay.
Yeah, there's no.
The arrow sort of goes across his face, and this tears open his cheek, and he burns as the alchemical sort of properties start to burn at his face, and he sort of screams and curls over, holding onto his face, and turns at you. And as he does, you see that glowing light is behind his eyes as he looks back down the hill towards you as you all come running up. Right, that's it. We're now in combat. We have many cats, and we have an angry, angsty young man, and all this stuff going on. So, one moment. So, the first is Pentio. Pentio,
Yep.
What are you doing?
How far away is Corrupt Boy from us?
This round, you can move up and attack him.
Okay. When he turns around and his eyes have that distinct glow, Pentio has sort of like a flashback to when he was younger. Does it sort of remind him of the corrupt beings that he's encountered once before in his life? Is it, or
Those
is it
corrupt
familiar enough
beings,
that's what you would think?
He's definitely on the way. The corrupt beings you saw had glowing eyes, but their whole bodies were corrupt. Whereas this kid,
Yeah, right.
he's got weeping sores. His gums are bleeding, and his eyes are like taking on a glow. Not like fully glowing, but like there's a luminescence about them that's not quite right.
Yeah. Given that it reminds him enough that he thinks that he's convinced that the boy is gone, so he'll charge up and attack him with his sword.
With a sword, okay. Yeah, sure. Run up and roll to hit. It is -1 to hit.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, yeah, you come up and you swing and you miss him. So yeah, didn't go great, but he is there and he is looking at you in rage. Roll me, which is either higher for you, a vigilance or a cunning test.
Okay. It will be cunning at 13. That is a failure.
Okay. Cool. Who is next? We have Verm. What does Verm do?
Verm reaches out his hand and begins to try to tug at the fibers of this boy's being. I will not let you turn. And he's going to try to bend will on him.
Okay.
So,
roll resolute. It is a resolute -4.
That's good enough.
Yeah, you reach in and you push through this feeling of like loss, misery, and this rage, right? You for a moment you feel what this boy feels, and it's just a feeling that everything he has ever cared about has been taken from him, and now he'll do anything he can to get that back. And then after that moment, you are in control, and he is yours. What does he do? He gets one action when you're in command of him.
Does he you were describing his hands before. Was that just his magical energy, or was he clutching something in his hand that he was channeling magic through?
You feel inside your hand a round coin that he's holding on to.
And looking behind him, are there more meerkats that are visible to him?
You see 5 meerkats, 2 of them badly hurt, getting up and making their way towards him. You also see the dismembered and eviscerated corpse of the guy you saw being played with yesterday.
He's going to drop the coin and clutch to his sword and turn around and move toward the meerkats. And if he's in striking range of one, he'll strike them. If not, he just moves towards them.
You only get one action, so he can move towards them, and then they have to it'll be next round he can attack them. Because bend will, and they're fighting you the whole way, so you only get one action, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so, can he also drop the coin he was holding?
Yeah, that's fine. That's a free action.
Okay.
So he turns, and like you all see with stiff, janky movements, he starts moving towards the to these dudes and these cats, and he's raising his sword up. Next is your familiar, the pig, Vildsvin. By the way, when you slept, all of you got 1 wound back, and that's including the pig. So everyone can reclaim their 1 wound. I forgot to say earlier. What's Vildsvin doing?
And they spent you at nightmares. I'm rolling for it. Okay.
All right. Vildsvin is going to move up next to Pentio and Lothar. Yeah, and he'll just move up near them, is what he'll do. And just ready himself,
Okay.
maybe try to be evasive or, combat ready stance. I'm not sure if there's any such action for that in the system, but that's what he's doing.
No, that makes sense. Okay. Right. And now we have all of the cats. Those of you towards the front, you see 3 of these cats come running and leaping upon young Luca. The 2 wounded ones and 1 of the healthy ones just pounce on him. Could you please roll? Your target number is 11. I need 3 dice for Luca, please. Yorg.
Pass the first one, 20 on the second, and a 15 on the third.
Yeah, these things, they're on him, and they just start tearing him apart. And even though you're controlling him, he's screaming in agony and pain. And yeah, you feel your control sort of being pulled out as these things just tear him apart. Yeah, he's reaching desperately for his coin as his throat gets torn out and he sort of loses what life is in him in front of you all. Next, there's 2 other good cats which run forward. One is going for Lothar, the other is going for Pentio. We'll go with Pentio first. Please roll your defense at -1.
A spectacular success.
Oh, yeah, no. You smack this thing down and immediately get to attack it. You immediately get a counter attack on it. Its defense is -3, so roll your attack. It just comes in and you just clamp your shield down and instantly respond with your sword.
Does that make it a +3?
Also a critical.
What the hell?
Wow. Okay. Roll me your damage and you add a +4 for the advantage, and then you get to follow this up. This is peak Pentio moment. 2 criticals in a row. Fuck me.
He was ready for this.
Yeah.
So it's a D8 +4, you said, or just D8?
Yeah, it's plus D4.
Okay.
It's a critical attack. You got
So D8 and then you roll another D4.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Great.
Well, you get another attack though, and
You
actually,
do.
yeah, Sean pointed out that you have advantage, so it's not actually -3; it's only -1 to your attack roll. If you want to roll again,
Okay. Go again, and I get another
Lush,
hit.
that's a hit. Roll your damage yet again. It's a plus D4.
Better, much better.
So you guys see this cat just fucking, those of you down the hill, you can't actually see the cats because you're looking up a hill and over a crest. And this cat, they're black and they're completely furless, just comes fangs out with the sharp, sort of like snake-like fangs and big claws. And this thing just comes flying over this ridge. And, perhaps still remembering his youth when the corrupted beings killed his family, Pentio just smacks it down with his shield, and while he's got it pinned, just starts ramming his sword into the ribcage until this thing stops moving. And he has fucking slayed this thing in the first round of combat like a boss. Now let's see if Lothar...
Pentio lets out a shout as he knocks it aside, and as he kills it, he screams, "Come and take me!"
Yeah, cool. Now let's see whether or not Lothar is as cool as Pentio. Lothar, please roll your defense -1.
I mean, spoilers, we know what happened Mr. 20 last game. That's a fail.
It's a fail? Okay, please roll your round.
1d4.
You take 3 points of damage from this thing as it claws at you. Now you need to roll strength to see whether or not the poison sinks in as well.
Strength +1?
Yes.
I believe that's enough. My strength is 10. Yep, so it's good.
Yep. Yeah, so luckily it's just the claws. This thing scratches at you, does 3 points of damage. And the other 3 are just tearing up the boy. So that's their turn done. I can delete the boy's mark on the initiative order because Luca is very dead. Next, could I please have the Siofin roll me a vigilance test?
It's a red X on the initiative track. I wonder what it could be. Red is the color of blood. I wonder what it would be.
Your blood.
It's not ominous at all.
You can't see anything, but you can hear movement up above you from almost where you look up to the walls of this cavern you're in, and you can see holes in the walls, and you can hear movement coming from that rough direction, but you can't see anything. And there appears to be nothing to see, and it is your turn, Theophan. What do you do? I just realised. Oh no, never mind. Yes, Theophan, what do you do?
What can I see going on?
Okay, so you can see Luca has been torn apart by these 3 cats. 2 of them are the ones that you hurt at the campsite the day earlier. And you've just seen Pentio put down a cat. Lothar has a cat on him. And you can hear that noise up above you in the wall.
I can hear a noise, but I can't see anything, which means I can't do anything about it.
Nah, it sounds like it's in a tunnel, yeah.
I could attempt to shoot the cat at some Lothar.
Yeah, you
I might
can.
help out in the process.
Cool. You can roll to shoot it. -3, because you're shooting into combat. If you get a critical failure, you hit Lothar.
What's the risk? 11, I pass.
Okay, you pass. All right, roll damage.
That is D10, and I get 2.
Right, yeah, the arrow sort of again streaks through and wounds this thing, but it's not enough to take it out. Do you move or anything, or do you stay where you are?
I'm going to stay where I are, or where I am.
Right, awesome. We move over to Lothar. You've got this thing on you, and arrows just skimmed past it and hit it. What do you do?
Yeah, Lothar's going to hit it with his mace. What's the modifier on the roll?
-3.
Okay, so target number is 10. Yeah, hit it. Oh my god. Oh, 1d6. 1d6, 1d8. Oh my god, Prios is actually with me today. 1d8. Big whammies.
Hey.
Ooh, 6. And then another d4.
Yeah, for the fire, yeah.
Unless it's an abomination, in which case it's d6, but I'm thinking red guy's an abomination, not. Ooh.
Yeah, you smack this thing down and it just goes up. It just catches fire. It's done. You guys are cleaning this shit up. You've now killed
after that first night.
So again, the 2 big ones that have come at you, you've put them down. This thing's burning. The smell of like burning hair and stuff and flesh is just getting around all of you, and you can smell Prius's burning, which is slightly stronger smell than the smell of burning abomination boy, which is being eaten at the moment. And that is our initiative order. So we go around to the next round. Pentio, you've just slayed this fucking thing. You're looking at 3 of them tearing apart the boy. The one over to your side's just gone down. What do you do?
Without any sort of hesitation, Pentio shouts out a command to those behind him. Schoffen, witch, close formation! And then he moves into the group of 3 to stab.
Pillow, back in formation.
Cool. Roll to attack at -3. Are you going for a wounded one or one of the good ones?
Specifically, the wounded one.
Okay. All right. Roll to attack.
Nah.
Yeah, nah. You come in and they see you coming and they react this too quickly and you miss them.
So movement is an action and bending will would be an action, so I can't do both. I'd have to choose one because I don't see any, right?
No, bend will is like, because you get a typical player character gets 2 actions, 1 move,
Okay.
1 combat action. Bend will is a combat action, so you can move and then bend will. Yeah.
You also can't use magic abilities with Bendwell. Because that's just OP as hell if you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
now,
right.
when you did bend will before, did you take corruption?
I did. I only got a 1 on that, so I was lucky.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will move forward, and I will try to get sight of one of these meerkats, and then try to bend its will.
Well, you can see them from when you are. They're right up on the ridge.
Oh, can I? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to stay
bathed in the
where I
light
am.
of Prios.
So you're going to bend will from where you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll try to grab one of them.
All right, so you roll your resolute. It's a flat resolute test.
All right. Got an 8.
Yeah,
Does it?
you get this you get the taste. Like the first thing you notice is the sharp taste, the tangy, like metallic taste of blood, and yet again there's these 2 yellow orbs burnt into your conscious as you take over this cat. I'm assuming you're taking over the good one, not the 2 hurt ones, which looks up and it's seeing right on top of it, slashing towards its other packmate next to it is Pentio. You get 1 turn. What do you do?
Attacking the one next to Pentio if it's in range.
Okay,
of course.
Roll a d20, and it is at negative. Okay, yeah, you need 7.
Not a 7.
He attacks and fails. He has a go, has a swing at it. The other thing, maybe sensing something's not quite right by the different way that it's moving, pulls away, and misses. And your pig can charge up. Vilsvin.
It will. At one of the injured ones, how about the one next to Lothar, and attempts to gore it with its tusks. 17.
It's ahead of Lothar, but yeah, it's a miss. Okay, cat's turn. These 2 wounded ones, they sense that something's not quite right, and they sort of back off away from all of you. Although, can you please roll me a d20? I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. You don't know who I'm pointing at. Ryan, please roll me a d20 for the one that's trying to sneak away from you.
All right.
Yeah, you roll it. Go, you
roll.
18.
It goes to disengage. But you get a chance to take a swing at it. So what do? You take a swing at it?
I'm going to take a swing at it. I want to finish. I'm going to kill it.
-3 to hit.
-3. No.
Yeah, you swing, and these things run off. They're not completely disengaged, and they're sort of running up into the caves around their den, sort of trying to create distance. Both these wounded ones. You notice, because perhaps I'm not sure how obvious it is to you when one of these things has been bent will, but you notice that one of them is standing next to you, and it's not slinking the way they normally do. It's standing tall, more like a dog than a cat. So the cats have disengaged and gone up into the caves. Right. At this point, in a flurry, there is a roar, and I need... I'll let Charlotte... Could you please roll me d4? Even number, this thing's pouncing on you. Odds number, it's pouncing on Verm.
Come on, odds.
Nah, fuck that. Don't do it.
Right. Okay. So Verm, you're sitting there controlling this thing, and then you hear this roar. Shofin seems to already be looking up and manages to make distance as this large cat. This is more like a tiger than the other ones are more like mountain lions. This thing again is hairless, and it's got like a tiger-like pattern of like a deep purple and yellow scheme all over it. So it's where the tiger has black stripes, this has got violet ones. Otherwise, it's completely hairless. Very obvious musculature to it, and it's got very long, narrow fangs sticking out from the front and piercing yellow eyes, which you'd recognize from the conscious of all these other things. It immediately stares into your eyes, and it is trying to enthrall you.
Ooh.
So I need
fail,
you to roll a resolution -2.
Good thing your resolute's one of the highest stats for you.
4. Get the fuck out of here.
Not even close.
Yeah. It fails to charm you. So what it does instead is just attacks you. And as it attacks, I need you to please roll me a defense at -5.
There's 5, huh? Then. Ooh. I pass. I succeed.
You pass. This thing swings a giant paw at you, claws out, and you just, in shock, step away from this thing. Could you please roll me a resolute test just to see if you maintain concentration on that meerkat who you've managed to hold on to? This is a straight resolute test. 18? Okay, those of you up the front notice the meerkat goes back to ears back and slinking. Not quite right, but otherwise your everything is as normal. You in the front aren't aware of this thing behind you all. Siofin is, and it's her turn. Siofin, what do you do?
Don't you run from your Siofin, you coward!
This is how... what's Siofin doing?
How far away is it from me?
Right there, like 5 meters.
I'm going to back up like another 5 meters or whatever my standard movement is and take a shot at it.
Okay, it's only defense -1. Nah, she's not in combat with it. Vermin.
Okay. Damn.
So you move away.
I was so looking forward to the backline getting absolutely massacred.
You move away, and you got to shoot this thing. Once again, it's in combat. If you roll a 20, you're going to hit Verm. That's fine. Away you go. Roll to attack, -1.
20.
Yes, that is fine.
20.
13. I got it.
You hit it? Okay, roll damage. You fire an arrow at this thing, and...
Fucking 2s.
And barely graze it. All right. So yet again, your arrow sort of skims this thing, grazes it. All good. So you do what you can. That's the Ophin's turn. Now as Lothar. What's Lothar doing?
So I don't know what's going on behind me.
Well, you just heard Verm yell out, and you can hear commotion behind you. So it's safe to say you can turn around and look, especially you, because you're between the two groups. You're sort of in the middle, right?
Yeah. What's the deal with this meerkat that was bent? Will that is what's that doing?
Okay, you see up ahead. Yeah, you see up ahead, standing right next to Pentio, is a meerkat, which is suddenly looking at Pentio very hungrily. And it went from being very obviously bent will to suddenly an enemy. Yeah, that's what you're facing.
So I look over my shoulder. I see this massive cat, and then I look back at Pentio, and I see this one meerkat. And you see the calculations. It's like that the GIF with the. And then he turns and runs to flank the one that's attacking Verm. Can you get in range and hit him this time?
Okay, you run down to hit him. It's only defense -1.
So, because he's flanked, right?
Yeah. Flanked, it'll just be a defense +1. So your attack +1. Yeah.
Right. Oof.
Not good enough.
Oof, that hurt me so bad.
Yeah, it dodges and it looks at you with just these piercing, like just golden eyes, these yellow eyes of super thin slits in them. Well, actually cats, so super little pinpricks as it's looking in the dark at you as you come. Right, next turn, Pentio, what are you doing? The cat next to you is obviously hostile.
Yeah, without missing a beat, I'm going to try to kill this one too.
Okay, roll to attack. As usual, it's a -3 to hit.
That that's matches or ties go to the.
Yep, no, tie is in your favor. Tie is in the player's favor. Yep.
All right.
Roll damage.
With another 2.
Yeah, you slash it, hurt it. Yeah, it's all good. It's still up. Verm, this thing's on you. You can tell that it didn't swing. Like, what you're going to get is going to be worse than what happened last turn. You know, like it's building up for some serious fucking whoop ass. What do you do?
It is flanked now, though.
Talk to me about this disengage action. Is that just I can use that and some movement?
If you want to disengage, you can. As you just move away, but it's a quick test. It's your quick versus their quick.
Okay. My quick's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. It seems like
roll quick -1.
Great, I had it flanked, and now you leave me with it all by myself. You're an asshole.
Turn to face your true enemy, beast.
It's a 12.
The
So
lies of Browse.
it equals beats. So let me get out of here.
Yeah.
please.
Okay. You get out of there. You withdraw. Right. You've got one more action. What do you do?
An action. I can also do something.
Yeah.
I thought withdrawal was an action.
Actually, let me double check that. Yeah.
I'm fairly... yeah. It might be an action. Might be
let's find out.
Take the disengage and then you get to your movement.
So I'm happy not to help. So you just let me know.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
happy for you to have me.
Double checking the rules, I just realized that you only get to disengage with a quick like that if you have acrobatics. However, because we already said it happens, I'll let it happen. Okay. But it is your whole turn.
So I've cheated. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because it would have gotten a free. It would have been a free attack completely, and you don't want that. So you move away from this thing, and that's the end of your turn. Your pig is up next to this other meerkat. I'm assuming it's attacking that.
Yeah, it will try, and it will get itself where I was. So it's like a nice flank going again, and also interposing itself between me and the creature.
Okay, right. So but what I'm saying is you've got the meerkat up on the hill next to Pentio, and your pig's up there. Are you pulling it back to you? Because it can do that, but it'll take a whole turn.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's loyal to me, not Pentio. Sorry, Pentio.
So, yeah, you hear this scurry of little hooves clacking away on the rock, and the next thing you know, the pig is suddenly there, engaging the cat, but not quick enough to do anything. Meerkat is attacking Pentio. Please, mate, roll me a defense. -1.
Man. You got this. This is one meerkat. What's the worst it could do?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, you managed to fend it off. Right. Now we get to the blood cat. Please, Lothar, resolute test -5.
-5. Jesus. What? Prios. Okay, target number 10.
Two. This thing stares at you, and you can feel something gripping at your mind, but you hold it off. Your faith in Prios is strong, and then it comes at you, both claws just swinging. Roll me a defense -5, please, mate.
Is it flanked? So does that give me advantage on defense?
Sure.
Rolls?
Yeah, +2. So it's defense -3.
-3. Okay. Unlikely anyway. Oh, made the difference.
It attacks you a second time. Do it again.
So target number's 5.
Oh!
My first one.
This thing's swinging at you, and you feel your moment to counterattack. Please attack. It's at -1. This thing leaves itself open. It's frustration that missed you the first time. It's not used to missing. It comes at you a second time. It misses again. You sense your moment. Roll the attack. It's -1, although you're flanking, so it's +1. Yeah.
Oh, target number's 14.
Yes.
It's good. You hit it. Roll damage.
On the 8. That 2 again.
All right.
And is this an abomination, or is this just like... Am I rolling a D4 or a D6? Okay, an extra D4.
Okay, your mace strikes it, and it feels like it's a solid strike, and then you notice the mace doesn't do any damage. It seems to soak that damage. The fire, however, hurts, and it takes some wounds. It's looking a bit sore, but it's still got a little fight left in it. That is its turn. Siofin, same story as last time. If you shoot and get a 20, you're going to pierce Lothar. Don't disappoint me.
I mean, I understand what's going on here. It's every time it's Shofin's like, "Where's Lothar?" Oops.
I'm trying to save him. I really am. I'm going to take one of my doses of poison and coat my blade with it, my arrow.
Sure.
And I'm going to take a shot.
Okay.
And I'm going to hit.
You hit. Okay. Roll damage.
Our D8s are broken.
Really?
The arrow hits, but the angle is wrong, and it seems to just glance off this thing, like it misses
Can I re-roll this?
I
will take one point of corruption to re-roll this.
Can you re-roll damage?
Nah, it's normally attack rolls. Yeah, so.
God damn it.
So yeah, you unfortunately for you, your poisoned arrow skims off ineffectually. Lothar, now is your chance.
But
once again,
does it still poison it?
No, it has to do damage to poison. Which makes sense, right? It's got to draw blood, you know. So that means we have Lothar attacking at +1.
Oh, I had advantage on that last attack as well, so there should have been an extra.
Yeah, it's too late now, mate. We've already gone past that.
I'm just trying. So it was +1.
Yep.
So that hits.
Okay, roll damage.
1d8, 6. Here we go. And then 2d4. First one's fire, and the second one's the advantage. So 2 fire, 3 from the advantage.
Okay. You're right. Okay. Yeah, you've hit this thing fucking hard. You've actually just knocked it onto the ground, and it howls like the way only a big brutal cat can howl. It lets out nothing but pure fucking agony as your blow hits it, and the fires of Prios engulfs it, and it hits the ground. It is the next round. Pentio,
I want to just, as it goes down, I just want to kick it like slightly, not do damage, just be like kick it while it's on the ground. Like damn right.
All right, so Pentio, upon hearing it cry, like notices it for the first time and is like, "What the hell is that?" But continues to try and kill the meerkat in front of him.
Okay, roll to attack. -3 as usual.
There we go.
You hit. Roll damage.
It's gonna be 2. Boom. 3.
Yeah, you hit it. It's hurt. It's in a nasty way, but it's not out of the fight. It is not out of the fight. Next, Verm. You're disengaged. This thing's on the ground. It's hurting.
And what do we see? There's the one that Pentio's engaged in, this larger one. And that's it right now?
That's it right now, yeah.
I don't have any ranged options. Yeah, I mean, I have my torch. No, I'm not going to throw my torch at it. I'll try to bend will the one next to Pentio and give him a break from it now, or at least this is the best I can do. So I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Try and get it back again after losing it last time.
Are you in danger of going over your corruption threshold if you?
No, I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1 on my last 2 attempts. So.
Well, roll a flat resolution test.
14. My resolute is 15.
You get it. Just yet again, the same things fly through your face, or through your mind. This time, there's an added tinge of desperation and fear as this thing's afraid of dying, given the situation at hand, and you now have control.
I have this one now, Pentio. Help us take down the leader, and we can put an end to this.
Roll your corruption as well, mate. All right. And lastly, your pig.
Okay. Now we're getting close to being in danger. Vildsfin is going to attempt to gore the meerkat on the ground.
Okay. The advantage doesn't stack, unfortunately, but it gets advantage on the attack. So it is rolling to attack at +1. This thing is on the ground. It's trying to force itself up. It's hurt. And the pig gores it. Roll damage. You get a +4, a D4, because it's got advantage as well.
Nice. Okay, so it's a D6 first for 1. D4. Hey, another 1. How about that?
Unfortunately, its skin's just too thick, and it gores at it and just doesn't manage to do anything. That's really fucking unfortunate.
You need those tusks to be blessed by the light of Prios to do damage. That's the problem.
Yeah, you're not touching my
Okay.
Flaming tusked pig. We need to make it.
Let me poison those tusks for you.
Yeah, no one touches that pig but me.
She's my girl.
Heyo.
Okay, could I please have? I'll have Lothar roll this. Could you please roll me a d20? Let's take the first one. So it's 4. Okay, this thing manages to get up and sort of pounce away from you all before you all have a chance to attack it, and it's scrambling up the wall away from you all. Next turn, it'll be in a cave and away. So this is your last chance to sort of try and take this thing down. And appropriately, Siofin, it's your turn.
Does it have to also roll a quickness to get up as well? Because that was the acrobatics check, right? To disengage. Didn't it also have to make a quickness?
It's got it's got master levels in acrobatics, so that happens for free, and it has it's got multiple master level abilities. So yeah.
Damn it! Trying to lawyer my way around it is stifled again. I tried, guys. I tried really hard.
Siofin, you get a chance here to shoot this thing.
Well, obviously, I'm going to try and poison my next blade quickly, and take a shot.
Okay, roll to hit.
And I do it.
That'll do it. Roll damage.
Anything above a 2. Come on.
What the fuck? Seriously? Come on.
This is broken.
Look,
This is broken.
I tell you what, because this is a cinematically dramatic moment, I'll allow you to take that permanent corruption to re-roll damage, if you want.
I'll do it. Yeah,
If it
You're
gets
doing
you
it?
again, it's broken
Not doing it?
officially.
Taking the corruption for damage rerolls? Okay.
We need the trophy.
Set low.
How do I do this?
Oh,
This
man.
dragon drop the dice.
Yeah, because that's worked so well for me in the past.
Oh,
Worth the corruption. Do it again. Become an abomination with all ones and twos.
yeah. Look, something's not going right for you here. This thing's it's disappearing. It's climbing up the side of the cliff, and it's just getting away. Wow. Yeah, that's not good. That is not good.
Does
Now,
Pentio
is
still
it-
have a chance?
Is it getting away before its next turn or at the end of this round?
No, it's next turn. It's next turn it gets away. So it's still here. It's still here. Okay, and then last we have Lothar. You're here. What do you do?
So it's climbed a wall, it's completely away. It's home free. And
It's on
there's
its
just
way
this
home
one
free,
there's this one left on Pentio. He's going to rock up to
which
the one on
is bent willed. That one's been
Yeah,
bent willed.
Lothar doesn't care. This thing's gotten away, so he's going to take his frustration out on the one that's been willed.
See, you're gonna go hit the one that's been bent willed. You're not gonna try and take it alive.
Nope.
This is free money to us.
Lothar's
man.
pissed. Lothar's pissed. I mean, I might miss. Who knows? With advantage, right? So
Yeah, it's got advantage. Yeah, sure.
I miss anyway. That's fine. It's the rage, right? Like normally, Lothar's. You channel the fire and the flame of Prios. It's passion, but it's not. You let it flow through. You act as a conduit. You don't have it as your own thing. You're there as a vessel for it. But this time it's coming from Lothar, and so his technique's off, and he just enraged goes Rah! And smacks down and misses. I guess.
Okay. Okay. Next round, Pentio. You're watching this thing scramble away up the cliff. You're probably not going to be able to hit it with your sword because it's halfway up this thing. Unless,
So
you could quickly draw your. You've got a bow, right?
Yeah, right.
You could spend a movement action just dropping what you've got, whipping out your bow, and taking a shot.
That
Throw
is what
something
Pencha will
shiny.
do.
All right. Okay. Roll to hit.
So it's the target number.
Defense -1. Your normal attack -1.
All right. That's
Roll
a hit.
damage. Roll damage.
Can I
Two.
get above two?
Two.
1d8.
Two.
Oh!
God.
This thing is
Not
scrambling up the
today!
cliff. It's scrambling up the cliff. The arrow goes right behind the shoulder, just as if Pinto was hunting like he used to do in his youth. This thing drops to the ground. It squirms, it claws, and then it breathes its last. And there you have won the fight. You have your living meerkat, which we assume is quickly bound up. And you have one of the rarest creatures, one which is not often heard of, one of only rumor and legend, dead in front of you that you can take back, sell to the Auto Magica for study. You can skin it, whatever. You slayed the blood cat, although you did horribly allow Luca to burn and get torn apart and
That's fine.
all these other horrible things. But you killed the monsters.
It was for the best. It was for the best.
He deserved it.
Yeah, like if at the end of the, I'm gonna spoil something. At the end of the encounter, if Luke was still alive, Lothar was just gonna brain him.
Yeah, it's as you're
smack him.
As you're going through his bits and pieces, you start to recognize, you realize why he was familiar to you, Lothar, and that is that he bears familiar. My words are escaping me. Resemblance to the black cloak whose body you found in the pond on the side of the road. But unfortunately, he's dead now, and he's torn apart, and that is what it is. Next time we do this, we'll fast forward to just outside Caster when you're about to claim your reward for all this sort of stuff. Yeah, and I think that is where we will end this week's session at the end of a successful hunt. 10 meerkats, one of which is alive, a dead blood cat. Let's go around the circle, this time clockwise. Let's hear how everyone felt about it. Let's hear if they had a good time. Hopefully the answer is yes. And let's hear what they were thinking. First, Sean, Lothar, how's it going?
Yo, I really enjoyed today. I think the party's starting to feel a bit more of the groove about how the interactions are going to be. People are a little bit more confident. Well, not confident, but comfortable with knowing who their characters are. And so we've been getting some good role play out of that. And I'm really happy. It's nice when we don't all just fail and some of us get some crits after getting crit fumbles for like 5 times last week. So I think it's been a really great session. Yeah, nothing to shout out aside from Encounter RP. It's a good week.
Yeah, it was. I thought the ending was suitably dramatic. Yog, mate, Luke, did you have a good time?
It was fun. I think it reached a good climax. I really enjoyed how Shofin was hoping to miss and hit Lothar the whole time, and then get that permanent corruption that you're gonna have to live with forever now.
But like rolling damage,
beautiful.
re-rolling damage at the expense of 1 permanent corruption, like that's such a losing gamble. I mean, I would not pay that
We're
price.
rich now.
Rule of cool. All right.
Yeah, but it didn't pay off.
You just like handing out permanent corruption, I think. We can bargain with you.
Yeah, or for a dramatic
he will
moment,
accept.
you know. Yeah, definitely, especially with you magic casters. Okay, then. Charlotte, was it worth it?
Yes. I still cannot gain composure over that. It's what keeps the game, right? It's entertaining. It's part of the fun. I now have 20% of my corruption already earmarked. So who knows where this will go?
Step down a path of which only leads in one direction.
Getting brained by Lothar.
For you. You remember that? I did this for you.
But did you?
Okay.
You didn't succeed, so...
I don't know. My favorite
Ryan.
number is like 22, so hitting 2s.
Yeah, mate.
I have to say, I think Pentio was the hero of that last combat, just tearing through
2
shit.
1s back to back.
Yeah, hey,
That was awesome.
hey, that's some epic shit. You can't go wrong with that.
Driving headlong into death.
Yeah, and then shooting down the fucking rare beastie.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How are you feeling after the session, and how are you feeling after being the hero of the day?
Oh, that's pretty good. I loved it. That was really, really good. I'm a little bit nervous now for the other side when I get 2 critical fails in a row, because that's how statistics works.
It's gonna happen.
Cool. Does anyone have anything to plug before I start doing my end ramble?
Yeah, nah, not really. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I do nothing but boring stuff.
Stupid guy with his stupid podcast is going to ramble about his podcast for a couple of minutes.
Stupid podcast.
Oh, great.
No, I haven't to say.
Hey, I'm happy. Every time I go around to Liam's house, there's always a stack of fresh roleplay game books that I can just peruse.
All these review copies. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Huh.
If you like dark, gritty games like this, with occasional heroic endings, mbcast.co, we come and talk about these dark and gritty roleplay games. Otherwise, be back here next Saturday, 11 p.m., Darkness in Davokar here on Encounter Roleplay. Every week, videos will be going up on YouTube as well. And one last shout out to our fucking sponsors, because without them, we couldn't do this. And this has been so much fun. Fantasy Grounds, virtual tabletop of choice, where you get to spend corruption points and then get shit rolls all over again and again and again.
2 is a common number.
Or, multiple ones in a row if you happen to be... Ryan. Otherwise, tabletop loot, fantastic dice. We give them away here on the stream. Not sure if we gave them away this week. We will next week though. We're going to fucking work on it. Don't you worry. Waylandgames.co.uk. All the miniatures you want. You can recreate everything you've seen here. And I believe with the Encounter Roleplay, there is a 20% off discount. Otherwise, that has been us. Thank you for coming to Encounter Roleplay. Thank you for watching Darkness in Davokar. Next week, our intrepid adventurers will be nearing an urban environment. It'll be a bit different. They won't be being stalked by cats in the woods.
Stalked by people.
Yeah, especially the fucking witch. That's going to happen. Once again, thank you all for coming. Massive shout out to you all. Massive shout out to you all. And we will see you all next time.
Later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.